Animals, habitat and adaptation. Animals, just like humans, need very specific things to survive. Can anyone name something that both animals and humans need to survive? Responses may include food, water, air, and shelter. A habitat is a place where an animal lives that provides all of its needs for survival, including food, water, shelter, and place to raise its young. Today, we are going to talk about the different types of habitats found on Earth. Types of habitats. Forest. A forest is a large area that is covered by trees and plants. Forests extended over about one-third of the world's land surface and can be found in many regions around the globe. Many wild animals such as lions, elephants, tigers, deer, zebras, etc. live in the forests. Rabbit, snake, earthworm, and rat live in holes and burrows. Desert. A desert is a dry place because it receives little or no rainfall. It is usually very hot during the day and cold during the night. The ground is often rocky and sandy. The animals that live in the desert have to survive with very little water. Camel, rattlesnake, and ground squirrel are found in deserts. Polar regions and mountains. The regions near the poles, north and south, are called polar regions. The polar regions is covered with snow. The animals living here have special features to bear the cold weather. Polar bears have a thick coat of white fur. Penguin, seal, and walrus have a thick layer of fat that keeps them warm. Oceans and seas. Oceans are the largest animal habitat on Earth. The fish and other creatures that live in shallow water, like coral reefs, are different from those that live in the cold and dark areas at the bottom of the sea. Whales, dolphins, sharks, and other animals that live in an ocean habitat need salty water. If you put them into water without salt, they won't survive, and if you put a freshwater fish into salty water, it won't survive. Freshwater. Water in lakes and rivers is fresh, not salty like seawater. The muddy beds of rivers and lakes make different habitats for all kinds of animals like fish and shrimp. Some animals can live both on land and in water like frog and salamander. They are called amphibians. Adaptations. An adaptation is a way in which an animal's body helps it survive or live in its environment. Different types of animals have different types of adaptations. It may be in their body coverings, their organs for breathing, or their ways of movement. Body coverings. The outer covering of animals, regardless of whether it is the skin, fur, scales, or feathers, serves as a means of physical protection against injury and changes in temperature from morning to night or from one season to the next. Mammals have hair or fur, birds have feathers, reptiles have dry scales, amphibians have soft, moist skin, and fish have wet, slimy scales. Animal coverings come in a variety of colors and patterns. Hair or fur. Fur is a type of body covering that most mammals have. Mammals are animals that give birth to their young and their bodies are always warm. Fur helps animals to keep their bodies warm. It also protects animals from water and too much sunlight. Feathers. The only group of animals with feathers as their body covering is birds. Feathers help the bird fly. They also protect the birds from the rain and cold. Scales. Fish scales are smooth to help them glide through the water. Reptiles have a tough, dry, scaly skin that protects them from predators and allows them to live in dry places by reducing water loss. Snakes have special elongated scales on their belly to help them crawl and climb. When snakes grow, they develop a new layer of scales beneath their old one, which they then shed. This process is called molting. Shell. Some animals like snail, turtle, and tortoise have a shell. The turtle have hard shells connected to their backbone. The hard shells protect the turtle from predators. When these animals sense danger, they withdraw their head and feet into the shell. The color and/or pattern of an animal often allows it to either blend in or stand out from its environment. This is called camouflage. Breathing organs. Breathing is a gas exchange taking in oxygen from the surroundings and letting out carbon dioxide. Different animals have different breathing organs. A frog and earthworm breathe through their moist skin. A frog may also breathe much like a human by taking air in through their nostrils and down into their lungs. Birds, reptiles, and mammals also breathe through lungs. Fishes, tadpoles, baby frogs, oysters, prawns, and crabs breathe through gills. Small microscopic animals breathe through their body surface like amoeba. Insects have tiny hair holes on their bodies called spiracles to breathe. Feeding organs. Animals eat different types of food and have different types of feeding organs. They are classified on the basis of the types of food they eat. Herbivores. Animals which eat plants are called herbivorous animals or herbivores. For example, cows, giraffes, goat, etc. They have sharp front and strong broad teeth for biting and chewing. Carnivores. Animals who eat the flesh of other animals like lions, tiger, cat, vultures, etc. are carnivorous animals or carnivores. They possess sharp, pointed and curved teeth for tearing flesh. Omnivores. Some animals eat plants as well as flesh of other animals. They are called omnivorous animals or omnivores. For example, kites and eagles. Animals eat and get their food in different ways. Mosquitoes suck blood from the body of human beings. Snakes swallow their food whole. Elephants have a long trunk. They lift their food with this trunk and put it into their mouths. Birds have beaks and claws. Rabbits, rats, squirrels, etc. have sharp front teeth to gnaw seeds and fruits. How animals move. Plants and animals are both living things, but the main difference between the two is that animals can move and plants cannot. Every animal moves in search of food, to run and protect itself, and to build a home or look for a shelter where it can rest and breed. Animals have different types of body parts or limbs and move in a different way from one place to another. Some animals have 2 legs and some have 4. The 2 front legs are called forelimbs and 2 at the back are hindlimbs. Let us read about the movement of some animals. Rabbits, kangaroos and frogs hop and jump because they have larger and stronger back legs. Their strong back legs give their body a push and they spring up or jump up with a bouncy movement which is called a hop. They land back on the ground on their smaller front legs. Ducks waddle because they have large bodies so that they can float well and small feet. Do they walk straight? No. Since they are too heavy, they sway sideways when walking. Their feet are also shaped like paddles, more for swimming and not so much for walking. So when they walk, they move from side to side. This is called waddling. Birds use their wings in repeated quick forward and backward movements to fly in the air. When they need to slow down, float or glide in air, they reduce the back and forth movements. In fact, when a bird needs to start flying, it needs to push itself off the ground using its legs to first hop or jump into the air, and then only can it start flying. Fish swim in water using their fins, which they move back and forth in short movements. This is very similar to the bird's flying movements, but only this is in water while birds fly in air. The other difference is that fins are much smaller than a fish while wings can be larger than the bird itself. Insects move with legs. All insects have 6 legs. Ants and cockroaches crawl with their legs. Grasshoppers hop with their legs. Insects like houseflies, bees and butterflies have wings to help them fly. Their wings are thin, delicate and made up of tiny scales. Their wings are not strong like the wings of birds. Reptiles use various forms of locomotion to move from place to place. Although most lizards walk on all fours, some use only their hindlimbs when running. Snakes move by attaching their belly scales to rough surfaces and pulling themselves forward. Migration. Many animals tend to change places in search of food and warmth. Many of the birds and several animals like elephants migrate to other places for mating. This is known as migration. For example, sometimes when the weather is very cold, the ground surface freezes and it is too hard for birds to pull worms from the soil, so they have to look elsewhere for food. Migration may be a part of a yearly cycle of changes a bird goes through. Birds can fly very long distances, but some birds migrate shorter distances. The Arctic tern holds the record of longest distance migration among the birds. There are few mammals like bats, caribou, elk, and whales that travel in search of food each winter. Insects also migrate. Some butterflies and moths fly very long distances. Most migrating insects go much shorter distances. Many, like termites and beetles, move downward into the soil. Earthworms also move down, some as far as 6 feet below the surface.